Hello, fellow followers. Welcome back to FanZcene. Greg here, and today I have for you a Nightmare on Elm Street Freddy at 40. This year marks the 40th anniversary of Wes Craven's original horror classic, A Nightmare on Elm Street. And the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise, starring Robert Englund as Freddy Krueger, is probably one of my all-time, if not my favorite horror franchise from the 80s. I absolutely love it. My older brother got me hooked on it. He was a big fan, and I got hooked onto it. I love it, and as much as I do any other horror franchise, the Friday the 13th, the Halloweens, all them, But something about Nightmare on Elm Street, Freddy Krueger, just really sold me on it. And with this being its 40th anniversary, I thought I'd do a little sort of video retrospective type thing, and also a little show and tell of some of my Nightmare on Elm Street physical media, because I love physical media. But what I want to start off first here is I found an article from the Cinefantastique magazine from 1985. But I was going to read over this article real quick for you guys about its release, the release of A Nightmare on Elm Street 40 years ago. So I'm going to bring this up for you guys. As you can see, this is from Cinefantastique magazine, if you guys remember that magazine, and it's about Nightmare on Elm Street. It says, Nightmare on Elm Street, Wes Craven on directing his masterwork of horror. So we're going to, zoom in a little bit so we can get to the story here. And we're going to go over here so we can read it. It says by Dan Scaparotti. I hope I said your name right. It says, 3 years ago, while on the set of Swamp Thing, Wes Craven did the original Swamp Thing. He mentioned an idea that he had for a new horror suspense film, Nightmare on Elm Street. Craven has enjoyed a lengthy engagement in the field, but his track record has followed a checkered path to success. Two early films, Last House on the Left and The Hills Have Eyes, became cult favorites, but other projects haven't been as successful. Yeah, Wes Craven did struggle, a lot in the beginning, sadly. It continues here. It says, Swamp Thing and Deadly Blessings sank in theatrical obscurity, and his sequel to The Hills Have Eyes is still in search of a distributor. And it's funny that these movies were considered flops and, kind of flopped away and disappeared. People love Swamp Thing now. We love Swamp Thing, Return of Swamp Thing. They love Deadly Blessings. They love The Hills Have Eyes. They love, they love these Wes Craven movies. People have gone back and sort of re-looked at them because Wes Craven, I guess, was sort of a little bit ahead of his time and stuff. And, horror movies in the 70s and 80s weren't as well received as they became later on. And this article continues with Craven, however, has hit it big with the birth of his brainchild, Nightmare on Elm Street. Several years ago, Craven was sitting with Friday the 13th Part 3 director Steve Miner in a Santa Monica restaurant when the idea for the screenplay popped into his head, a result of what Craven calls the aha principle. Craven wrote a treatment for the film, but it languished in a drawer until he had completed Swamp Thing, and then began the search for a producer. The road to production was a rocky one. Bob Shea, who's New Line Cinema, because New Line Cinema, as we all know, is the house that Freddy built. It was an independent studio before Warner Brothers gobbled it up, sadly. It says it continues here with, was responsible for the release of The Evil Dead. Look, a connection to The Evil Dead there. Expressed interest in the project, but getting financial backing was tough. It was very difficult to put together financing on an independent project. See, I told you it was an independent film because, New Line Cinema was an independent label at the time, said Craven, who candidly admitted it didn't help that Swamp Thing wasn't a smash hit, sadly. But funds were found, and Craven was able to launch the production with a 32-day shooting schedule. 32 days, man, for the original Nightmare on Elm Street. That's crazy. Schedule. Shea, who raised the financing, became producer and had some definite ideals on changes that could be made to the script. The ending, for instance, was very much changed by ideals, said Craven. The idea of the car roof crackling down on the kids and having that kind of added threat was his ideal. He wanted to make the film a bit more complex so that things don't end up in a neat knot, which I really like that about that, because a lot of these movies back in the days, they had these good endings and everything. And the Nightmare on Elm Street has this weird ending. It's almost Twilight Zone-esque ending. And I just really, I commend him for that thing. And he continues here. He says that the change was meant to convey that the ideal that good doesn't triumph over evil, nor does evil triumph over good. There's a constant ongoing battle between the two. So it's like an ever-going battle between good and evil, Nancy and Freddy, and this constant ending battle. But of course, we know what happens with the sequels, but you got to understand this was before the sequels, and the ending is really ballsy, in my opinion. I really enjoy the ending to the first film. film. The running time of the film turned out long, which necessitated some cuts. Some exploratory scenes were dropped concerning the cover-up of the parents and their vigilante slaying of child, Fred Krueger, which, yes, there's a scene that's a really great deleted scene where it's hinted that Nancy may have had a sister that Freddy may have, or a sibling at least, that Freddy may have gotten to, and a great deleted scene that you guys should check out. I do believe it's available online or on the physical media, which we will get to here eventually. And it continues here. It says, "We felt that one scene we kept in the basement expressed the core of the story," said Craven. "The notion of the screenplay is that the sins of the parents are visited upon the children, but the fact that each child is not necessarily stuck with their lot is still there. The director had wanted a 36-day shoot, but had to accept the shorter time frame, which added pressure to the filming. The problems were compounded by having that the character of Nancy's so prevalent in the picture. Nancy is practically every scene, said Craven. So we had the problem of just plain exhaustion with her. Heather Langenkamp, shout out to her, she's awesome, turned out to be a real trooper, and I sort of wore her down to the numb during the course of the filming." Yes, because he's just like relentless with this movie. And it is evident from the beginning that special effects would play a large part in making the film effective. Saddled with a low-budget special effects designer, Jim Doyle had to come up with pretty impressive but inexpensive stuff, which he did a hell of a job, in my opinion. Great special effects in that first movie. A five-man crew was responsible for it all, including bottomless beds, bottomless bathtubs, elastic walls. That elastic wall scene, amazing. Phones that come alive, and to top it off, a giant revolving room. That the room was part of the 360-degree revolving structure with all the lights built in. The room was constructed specifically for Nightmare on Elm Street on a soundstage at the old Desilu Studios in Hollywood, and figured prominently in two major sequences, which will continue over here. But you guys want to scroll down here? Like, here's some of the scenes, Nancy and stuff, and then of course we'll shrink it real quick so you guys can see. Look at this Freddy picture here. I love this Freddy picture here. And so we'll continue on over to this side of the article. We won't read that because that's the review, but we'll finish off here with this. And as we can see here, we'll zoom in so we can look at it more. But look at that pictures; it's so cool. I love looking at these old articles like this and reading about it. So it continues here with sequences, as I mentioned. Some of the effects shots were in the original script, but others were introductions by Doyle and the crew, said Craven. Some effects, like the fountain of blood, originally were conceived as following the normal laws of gravity, flowing over the bed and onto the floor. And in this case, but then our special effects man proposed the idea of using the revolving room. Doyle thought that the fountain could come straight up in the air and across the ceiling. And we went in with the suggestion, and he delivered. Hell yeah, man! That scene is amazing. This is just I love reading all this old stuff like this. This is cool. I mean, of course, I know some of this, but it's cool to find this in an article like this. It says, "But things don't always work out as planned. The director and cameraman were strapped into chairs attached to the rotating structure and left hanging upside down for about a half hour while 250 gallons of colored water were poured through the bed on the bottom of the floor, now resting on the top of the set." Which, that is crazy. That is funny. The idea was to have that the room rotate slowly in such a way that the blood would flow down the wall away from the camera, providing a very strange and surreal image. What happened shocked everybody on the set. That is funny. The weight of the fluid was so great that the room began to tip the other way, and the water immediately rushed in that direction towards the cameraman, said Craven. The whole room just went spinning out of control like a giant carnival ride with fluid flying every which way. The cameras were drenched, and we were almost killed. Holy crap. All the lights shortened by the time they got us down were soaked. One of the film's most impressive visuals is when Krueger walks through the cell bars that's a great scene, in the local police station to get Rod, a rotary scope optical effect. In order to maintain the integrity of the shot, the cell bars were filmed with a locked down camera. We took triangulations of the camera so we knew exactly the height of it from the floor and the angle towards the point where this killer was going to walk through. That's it. See, I love hearing how all this went into this. We see this in the movie for like brief seconds, and we don't realize how much actually work went into it and how they got this effect, and just like practical effects and old school workery and like short schedules and low budgets. Just bred creativity back in the day, and I loved it. I loved it. Walked through, Craven explained. Weeks later, the insert shot of Robert Englund was filmed on a soundstage using traditional blue screen. We put the camera again to the exact height and angle we had used before and walked the actor through that space. Then those two images were married, and a rotoscope artist went through and matted out the bars so that it appeared they were going straight through his body. That's so cool. That is so cool. Originality and intelligence are the keynotes, according to Craven, for successful film. I could not agree more. That is what we're missing in today's movies, even in today's horror. We're missing the original, the creativity and the originality and everything. And Craven had it, man. He had it. Even though a lot of his stuff did get eventually sequeled out to where people got tired of it, but he had it. I never really got tired of it. You have to give the audience something they haven't seen before, haven't thought of before, characters they can't get out of their minds. It's as simple and as complex as that. You don't want to sit down and say, here's a formula, let's make a picture. Disney, Star Wars, and Marvel, Disney, Star Wars, and a lot of like the bloated content crap we get today. They've really lost sight of this, in my opinion. That was done incidentally by the writers of Deadly Blessing, continued Craven. They thought they'd take Charlie's Angels and put them in Stephen King territory, and they took all these elements from the film, from hit films, and tried to put them all together in this kind of Frankenstein-like film, and it didn't work. You've got to come up with your own seed and grow your own tree. If you take a branch from here and a root from there, you'll end up with the hideous, strange film that nobody wants to see. Oh my God, does that sound like what's going on in today's entertainment? Wes Craven, man, you got to give it to him. The man was a genius. The filmmaker is proud of his latest picture, thinks it's my best, he said. It's very unusual, very intense, and it's not anything I would be ashamed to have anybody look at. Coming up for Craving is a writer-director spot on an episode of the new Twilight Zone television show, which he says is due later this fall. So there you guys have it. There is the last article that I was going to read, but look, over here is a review they had for the movie. I'm not going to read through that, but it's pretty interesting to go through all this and to see this magazine article from Cinefantastique. I absolutely love A Nightmare on Elm Street, and I love hearing Wes Craven say that. And I think that is so true, and it's one of his best films. It's not his best film, and it's one of my favorite films, and it's so awesome to hear that and know what Wes Craven. It's just a genius of Wes Craven. Now, this Nightmare on Elm Street and Halloween 1978, John Carpenter's, have a few connections that I wanted to go over real quick before I go to the physical media portion of this video. But for those of you who don't know, Sean Clark from Horror's Hallowed Grounds actually discovered that Nancy's house, the Freddy's house, was actually Laurie Strode's house from Halloween. So here he is to explain that.
If you've seen my episode of Horror's Hallowed Grounds for A Nightmare on Elm Street, when I went back with Heather Langenkamp, aka Nancy Thompson, they totally redid the house. When I was there in 2010, I had no idea still about the Halloween connection until I happened to be watching the TV version of Halloween, and I looked at the scene in Laurie Strode's living room and said, something looks familiar. That rocking horse. It caught my eye. Where have I seen that rocking horse before? And I looked through my old photos, and boom, there it was. The windows around the front door, they all matched. I do believe they installed a fake door for the final gag in A Nightmare on Elm Street where Mom gets pulled through the window. The stairs were also identical. I was blown away. I figured this all out a few years later. I'd even gone back there for a couple of parties and I had no clue. And then I saw the scene where Annie calls Laurie, and I noticed something about that room, too. It was Nancy Thompson's room. Nancy Loomis is in Nancy Thompson's room. Who could have ever imagined that this house made famous from A Nightmare on Elm Street was actually 5 to 6 years prior used in John Carpenter's classic Halloween? So whether you believe it or not, Nancy Thompson's house was actually Laurie Strode's house first. And that is a fact.
I totally don't believe you.
Incredible. So incredible to know that. And that has actually been proven to be true, that they were both used in that. Just, I love to know the fact that these two iconic horror franchise movies, the originals, are connected in that way, that they have some kind of connection. Robert Englund, gathered up leaves and helped out a little bit on Halloween with that, in that factor. And the houses, Laurie Strode's and Nancy Loomis's houses are the same, at least the insides of were and that stuff like that. So that's like, I love finding these connections amongst these horror things and these franchises. And with it being the 40th anniversary of Nightmare on Elm Street, that's really great to do. So now let's get into the physical media portion of the show. Let's start off first with going over the Nightmare on Elm Street collection.
The kids of Elm Street don't know it yet, but something is coming to get them. Nightmare on Elm Street. No! Stop! She's the only one who can stop it. If she fails, no one will survive. Help me, please! Wes Craven's Nightmare on Elm Street, rated R.
Yes, here we have the Blu-ray set. This still exists. It's still out there. It's still very prevalent. Hopefully, we get a 4K of the first movie at least soon. I know there's rumors of the awful, horrible remake is getting a 4K. Hopefully, that doesn't come out before this one. But as you can see here, we have the Blu-ray set. Looks great. All 7 movies, right up to new Wes Craven's New Nightmare. We got this, and here's all the Blu-rays in here. Like that. I'll show you that real quick. They're all in here. The various degree scans, but this is great. This is a great set to have. Still great to have. And also, I do have a couple of the DVDs that I kept. I wish I would have kept more, but I do have some of the DVDs I want to show you guys that I got here. So we have the first one. You guys remember these snap cases? The first one here, Nightmare on Elm Street. The reason I keep these is there's some special features on these DVDs that are not on the Blu-ray set, and I wish I would have kept all of them, but I only have 2. I have the first one and Wes Craven's New Nightmare that I have as well. So that's pretty cool to have. I need to get more of these. So, but I have that, and I also, I want to get the rest of these as well too. But I have Dream Warriors Part 3 on VHS here.
It's 1987. Do you know where Freddy is? There's no waking up from this nightmare. A Nightmare on Elm Street, Part 3, Dream Warriors, rated R.
Now showing at a theater near you.
I absolutely love Part 3. Part 1, 3, and New Nightmare are probably my top 3 favorite Nightmare on Elm Street movies of all times. This is so great, and it's even got the Dokken sticker on it. I love it. I still have the VHS of that. Then, of course, I do have the Freddy glove. I have a Freddy glove here that I got this past Halloween. I love it. It's not quite as good as the movie quality, but I love it. It's the Freddy glove. Absolutely great there. And then I wanted to show you guys this as well. I do have Hollywood Dreams and Nightmares, the Steelbook, the Robert Englund story, which I used a clip of here a minute ago, as you guys saw, and we have that. This is an amazing Steelbook with great things. This goes over Robert Englund's full career. If you want to know about the full man and stories about the Nightmare on Elm Street, V, when he was in V, how he got to where he is, what he's doing now. I highly recommend this. This is amazing, amazing documentary. Check that out as well, too. And, of course, we do have Freddy versus Jason. Place your bets.
The only thing to fear is fear himself.
23 years, 3,000 lives. Now,
He may get the blood, but I'll get the glory.
the legends will meet.
Now to Freddy.
Freddy versus Jason. Winner kills all. Rated R.
Yes, this is the Freddy vs. Jason Blu-ray. I do also have, it did come, this is the one, just like the Blu-ray I have. I do have the one that comes in the Shout Factory box set. but we have that as well. And great. I actually really love this movie. I did a review on it. I did some pros and cons, but I absolutely love this movie. I think this is a good movie. I think people, are a little too harsh on this at times, but I have that. And then also I do have, Freddy versus Jason, the movie magazine. It's really great to have. I showed this off in that video I did, so check that out. This is great to have as well too. And then of course I do also have Elm Street. The Elm Street sign that you guys probably see in a lot of my videos. I absolutely love this. I got this for my birthday last year from my nephew. He knows me so well. This is awesome. I love this sign. I love the claws marks there. I love the claw marks. It's great. It's great. And then also when I bought the Blu-ray set of the Nightmare on Elm Street, it actually came with a little Freddy Krueger pop keychain. So that's pretty cool to have that as well. I really do like that. I've never opened it. I don't know. I just kind of want to leave this one in the box for some reason. Maybe I'll open it up, put it on my keys one day, but it's really cool to have that as well. And then not too long ago, I did get the TerraVision Freddy's Nightmares.
Having trouble sleeping? Tormented by nightmares of flesh melting, gut ripping, and severed head bubble baths? Well, don't kill yourself yet, because the fine folks at TerraVision Records have unearthed the perfect soundtrack to soothe you into slumber. Freddy's Nightmares, the original broadcast soundtrack. It's the stuff dreams are made of, jam-packed with all the hits. Available as a blood-soaked best of LP or a terrifying triple LP that comes complete with a full Freddy's Nightmares episode guide. And check out this bundle! Ready to shred? Then come on down! Morticians are standing by. If you want the deep cuts, you can always count on TerraVision, so come on, give it a spin. Freddy's Nightmares, the original broadcast soundtrack. Get out of here, Puck Breath. This is my promo.
Yes, this album you probably see a lot in my videos as well. This is an amazing album, the soundtrack to the Freddy's Nightmares TV series, which we still do not have a Blu-ray of. I'm waiting for that Blu-ray of Freddy's Nightmares to come out. Hopefully we'll get that eventually. But yes, this is that. This is awesome to have. I listened to this. This is great to have as well. And then it did come with some goodies. I'll show you guys some of the goodies it came with. It came with like a sort of TV guide of like Freddy's Nightmares, which is the track listings for the series and stuff, and with some notes and stuff. I know Mike is trying to focus on here, but it's really cool. This is a really cool thing to have. It goes through each episode and the musical notes and stuff, or what each episode's about and all that. So that's really cool to have, and it's got that. Then of course it also came with a little like Freddy's Nightmares posters for the vinyl there. That's really cool. I really enjoy having this poster, and it's so cool. I love it. And I'm a huge Nightmare on Elm Street fan. I wish I had more to show you guys, but I only got a little bit out here to show you guys. But this is one of my favorite movies, and it's so cool to see that it's turning 40. I wish it would get a little more love from Warner Brothers and actually get a 4K of the original, not the horrible remake. But Robert Englund and Wes Craven and Heather Langenkamp created it, and Bob Shaye. Shout out to Bob Shaye as well. They created an amazing movie. That first movie was amazing, and it birthed the franchise. For better or worse, we have franchises, but for better or worse, I think it's one of my favorites. I love each movie individually. I have problems with part 2, but I can still watch part 2. It's one of the scariest versions of Freddy. So yeah, it's just something about those movies are special. And I think New Nightmare was ahead of its time. It's just an amazing movie. But I absolutely love this franchise. I love A Nightmare on Elm Street. So let me know what you guys thought about this video in the comment section down below. And what's some of your favorite Nightmare on Elm Street movies? Do you like the first one, the second one, third one, fourth one, fifth one, sixth one, New Nightmare, Freddy vs. Jason? What do you got? Do you like the remake? And it's okay if you like the remake. Just because I don't like the remake doesn't mean you can't like the remake. But let me know you guys' thoughts about this video. And if you like this video, maybe I'll do more videos like this. Who knows? Sort of the retrospective type videos. But leave me your comments in the comment section down below. Never underestimate a comment, a like, and a watch, because that helps out tremendously. And if you did like what you saw here, maybe consider hitting that like button or subscribing and hitting that bell for notifications. That would be awesome if I earned your guys' subscriptions, or possibly share the video out for everybody to see, or join and become a channel member, because that would help out my channel immensely. Thank you, and shout out to all my channel members. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. Thank you guys for being channel members here, and for all of your support and always having my back. And to everybody watching, whether you like me, hated me, or liked this video, or hated this video, I thank you for sticking this on. Wherever you all are, please have a great, safe, happy, healthy day, morning, afternoon, evening, and night. Always support physical media. It truly is the superior format.
Stick that in your VCR. Suck on it.